America's backbone was built on blue-collar business grit, grind, and muscle. This is where you stop working for the business, and the business starts working for you.
Blue Collar Millionaires, happy to be with you again. Me and Kevin are fresh back from two amazing events. I was at two of my mentors, my coaches that I pay each month to just be in the atmosphere in the room with a bunch of entrepreneurs. One is Tim Bratz, the other one is Mark Evans. And me and Kevin were together at the Mark Evans event last week. Both of these events sat there and did a charity auction. And we're going to talk about the mindset of abundance and how it ends up infiltrating into the rest of your life, your business, and how you end up receiving more the more you give, because it changes the way your mind fires, it the way you think about things. I did hear this analogy one time. Someone told me, the if you grab a handful of sand and you squeeze it, what happens? It's going to squeeze through the cracks. But if you sit there and just hold it gently, then the sand will stay in your hand. And that's how a lot of people in life, as they're moving through and they start to have money coming in, they're constantly in this protection and squeezing it, trying to get every little penny out of a dollar. And they don't want to give anything away. But me and Kevin have experienced the more you give away, the more you receive. Kevin, what's some of your thoughts from last week when we were at Mark Evans' event and
Uh,
that last night when the charity was being auctioned off? And
the-
tell us who it was being auctioned off for?
okay, the event was incredible. It was the best one ever, and he's had a lot of great events. So that's saying a lot. But the auction was for children with cancer, um, and their families, because the hard truth is a lot of these children lose their lives,
Mhm.
and then their parents and their families, they have this massive loss that they'll never get over, and then they have this debt, these bills, and debt collectors calling them. And I remember when Cody was up there, who did the auction, was his charity, that hit me home. Like, imagine, because Chris and I both have little children. Imagine you lose your child. That's the worst thing that could ever happen to you in your life, and then you got debt collectors calling you.
Right.
It was just, I don't know, it hit home. I have a special thing for cancer. My mother has cancer now, and my father died of brain cancer when I was young. So I know the damage it can do, not only financially. So this is kind of like Make a Wish. It gives these children an opportunity to, they have leukemia or whatever, and they're going to get to go to Hawaii, and they're of course trying to survive, and then there's helping the family. So it was just an incredible charity, and the energy in the room. We were out, we were indoor at this insane resort, but it felt like we were outside, because there's like a river inside the hotel, and it's 500 feet high with trees and everything. And the energy was just incredible off it. I put a post up that said, it had Mob Deep, which is a song I came out to. It's like my favorite song from the gangster rap. It had Mob Deep, charity, and I'm hanging out with all my buddies talking business. I'm like, I never knew I needed this. Like, I never knew this was possible to
It's
have all these things in one place.
Here's what's changed my life. All right, so you've been with Mark Evans' group for how long? How many
Like
years?
3 years.
Okay, so I've been in Mark's for about a little over 2 years now. And then I've been in Tim's for over 3 years now. And Tim has been in Mark's. Tim's also in Mark's group, and he's been in there somewhere around 10 years. I think when he first started doing
Yeah, for 10 years.
mastermind type stuff, Tim had joined up. So Mark's influence, what he calls the giving muscle, has influenced Tim. And then I got influence from Tim, because obviously that's going to start to move throughout his mastermind and group and community. And then when I joined up with Marks, I started getting that influence as well. And I've watched a massive progression in my life with concerning the given muscle. And I remember as a kid just growing up in church, and they would talk about, tithe 10% of your income. And I watched people give so much money last week. And I remember a year before that, 2 years before that, the first event I went to at Mark's, I watched I watched his high level mastermind guys sitting there bidding very competitively, but laughing and joking till they were red faced when they were bidding $1,000 increments on these paintings that was there to raise money for a different charity at that point. And I remember thinking in my head, I want to be one of those guys. I want to be one of those next year so that I can have as much fun as they are at giving money away. We all have a ton of fun. That endorphin is released when we're making money, but most people never experience that on the giving side of it. And I think that's probably a higher endorphin release when you give. It's scary at first.
Yeah.
It's very scary because you start thinking, well, what if I give and I'm going to need it? Or what opportunity am I missing when I give this away? There's just all kind of stuff that runs in our head. But if you sit there and actually give it away and then you get to see the impact, and after you do it a couple of times, there's something biologically I feel like that happens the same way I relate it to when I make a sale. I mean, I'm just on a high when I make a
Yep.
sale, especially a big sale. And I see now it's the same type of effect when I give. But when you get in such an energized environment like we were last week, it lets me know I'm sitting in the right crowd. It lets me know that anything is achievable with that type of community.
Well, we raised over $750,000,
Insane.
and Tim, because of Mark, did his charity event and raised over 200,000.
Yep.
And Chris and I are going to do an event like that, have 100 people, and I'm sure we're going to be doing some type of auction
Absolutely.
like that to give back. It is very, you said, I didn't really think about all that, but that energy and that dopamine rush was very similar to closing big deals. I walked out of there like on a high. And the next morning I did wake up and I was like brushing my teeth. I'm like, wait, did I just spend all that money? Like, damn. But I wasn't mad at it. I was like, I really was grateful, like, that I can do that and it doesn't change anything in my life. Nothing. But it changed their lives. And it's like giving back. I get much more out of doing stuff like that and than, blowing money on a car or something.
You
It's
know,
just
we
what
just we just interviewed a guy. I'll say his name, Justin Brock. We just interviewed him, and he had a multi-million-dollar partial exit in
massive.
his business, and he talked about how he went ahead and bought the Lamborghini because it was a goal. And he said, but once I got the money, I really didn't crave the Lamborghini more. But he said I went ahead and did it because it was a goal, and I wanted to realize that goal because I'd hit a milestone. And he said, I actually am just at this point, like I'm ready to sell it. And I know when he bought it because I got a friend that did the detailing on it, the wrapping of it. He changed the color on it. And so he's had it less than 2 or 3 months and he's already ready to just get rid of it. It did nothing for him, was his statement. It Charity is not that way. Like,
No.
the impact it's leaving behind for someone else's life. Charlie sat there at this particular charity. He said $10,000 is what it takes on average to make somebody's dream come true. And we were able to sit there and raise over 750,000. That is a lot of dreams. And they're not going to sit there and think about it like Justin did on his car and wonder why he even bought it. That's a dream, something that they wouldn't have been able to accomplish without our help. This is why we work hard. This is why we put the extra time, the education, we hire the team members, we put our processes in place, our KPIs in place. We push every single day to drive our team to be greater. And somebody says, when is enough enough? Enough is never enough because there's too many people that you can impact in the world around you. You can literally make a massive impact because you have more than enough. And that's my answer to someone that says, when is enough enough? Never. Because
Right.
the more I have, and I'm a little maybe cocky, conceited, whatever you want to call it, but I feel like I would be a better steward than a lot of these other individuals with a bunch of money. So let me have the money and I'll make sure it gets dealt out to those that are hustling in life and trying to make something of themselves because they're the ones that really need the hand up, not the ones that feel entitled.
Absolutely. Nothing's better than helping people who are working themselves and then helping them along, putting the effort, or in this case, people who can't, who has nothing to they just the hit with this storm, cancer. They can't do anything about it. So you want to help them. That's very different than people who are laying around sleeping and like, let me help them.
Right. And
That drains me. That completely drains me. And I spent a lot of my life not so much helping financially those people, but I was always helping them, trying to help them get and then at some point you just have to just stop. I want to help people who can't help themselves or choose to help themselves, and I'll go all in.
so share what we were talking about before we came on this podcast about what happens when you feel like you're about to give something and then you
Okay.
start reasoning out.
Yeah, this I always had this in my own. I
I do.
wasn't a big giver like charity or something, I'm gonna do $100 or some Girl Scout cookies, give up $50. Like that's the like, kind of shit I was doing, bullshit. Um then I started doing more and I really got it from a mentor of mine. He was giving $50,000 and he was writing a check. And I was with him one time. I was kind of shocked by it. And he said, let's do 55, give me, and you owe me five. And that's the same guy that always talks his
Yeah.
shit, and I thought he was not serious, he was dead serious. He was like, "If 5,000 doesn't matter to you, let's give it to these kids." So I said, "Alright, I'll do it," and I remember I got in the car and I was like, "Damn, I don't I
Yeah.
don't know what I just did there," right? But it felt good. But here's what happens when you especially when you're alone, you see a charity or somebody sends you something and you say in your mind, "Yeah, I'm gonna give 500." And then you go and it pops up on your screen and you go to put your credit card or debit card in, and then you renegotiate with yourself. You're like, "Man, I'll just give 250.
Yeah.
I'll give 100. Yeah, let me take 250. I got something to do with that. Let me give 250." And it's like you should just do the initial thing. You I can't explain it, but you will always get it back.
Yeah.
I think you'll actually get it back in
More.
money, but you'll get it back in so many other ways. Like, that's why when I do that, I don't even think about getting that money back. It'll just come back in other ways. It's just how I really believe that, like, the universe works like that. But that's what I do that all the time. I mean, I could still do it. Somebody says, "Hey, I'm doing this charity for football. Do you want to give some money?" And then I say, "Oh, I'll give 1,000." And then I almost renegotiate
Yeah.
within minutes to do 500 or 250. And since Mark kind of talked about that in one of our calls, I always just give whatever I had in my head. I just give it. So I saw this. It's not that I told the guy 1,000 and I'm changing it. In my mind, I had 1,000, and now I'm going to say I'll just give 500.
Right.
I'll
He
just
he
give the
calls it a
1,000.
tap. Yeah, he says, I love how Mark puts it. He's like, "You're gonna get a tap. Whatever number pops in your head right then, that's the number you need to give."
And
Because that was what was supposed to happen, but then we negotiate ourselves out of it. And it's like that scarcity mindset starts coming in saying, "Ah, well, they don't need this." Like we reason ourselves out. I've even sat there and said, "Well, they wouldn't be in this place if they'd have had different actions," because it's not always a health situation that the charity is promoting. It may not always be cancer. Sometimes it's just helping someone that's had a bad bout of luck and they just need a little help to
yeah,
give them that boost, and then they can get their feet back underneath them and start running again. We've got single. I know there's one local in my area where they help single moms that are just down on their luck. And I can sit there and say, well, they married the wrong guy. Maybe they shouldn't have got pregnant. What's the story behind it? No, I'll save my money and give it to another charity later. Even after I felt that tap of, hey, go give that 100, give that 1,000, give whatever the tap. And what what I have found is my mindset and the abundance thought process is elevated to where not only in a charity of what I feel like I can give, but also believing in what I feel like I can achieve, how much money I can make, how big of a team I can grow, how much influence I can impact in others so that they create impact around their community. Like everything starts to elevate. And I've noticed it dramatically as I sit there and try to exercise my giving muscle. And I didn't start with where I was these past 2 weeks and what we gave. It
yeah,
was it was $500. I remember the first event at Mark's. I gave $500, and I was just like, "Ooh!" It was scary. Like even that evening, I was like, "Man, I
yeah.
don't know if I did right. I don't know if that 500 should have left." And it's it's just funny how you have so much fear. And now at this point, I don't have the fear because I've worked that muscle out enough. That's why I love that analogy, work out your giving muscle.
There's so much more to giving, and 2 things are, if you don't give when you have of little, not broke, but like you have very little, you're not gonna start giving when you get money. You're not.
No, you're not. You're
You
not.
could give it you could give $5. You can do it. That's why I have my kids, when we talk about this, to give some of their money towards this cause. And I talked to Charlie about going, because I told you he lived right around us,
Yeah.
and to go to the Children's Hospital of Cancer here in Atlanta. And I want my son, even my 5-year-old, I want him to go in there and play with those kids and see I just want him to give them some light, and all of them to do it. You have to give back. We are all so blessed, and we should be grateful. Um, because some people, all they want is to just live, literally, and
Agreed.
we're making up things. But the other part of that is, who do Sean Whalen said this in his speech, and I say it a different way, but like he was saying, who do you have to become? Who do you have to become to have this? But who do you have to become to give $50,000 at a deal maker charity?
Right.
Like the truth is, I wasn't that person for almost most of my life. And you have to become that person. So you have to become the person that's capable of earning that much, the person that's capable, okay with giving that, the person that just is grateful enough. All these things, you have to become these person. And then I have to maybe say, who do I have to become to give 150 grand,
Right.
500 grand, a million? Like, I want to become that person.
Absolutely, man.
And that's what we want to do. So forget that. Oh, they're somebody's rich. They gave money. Whoop de do. Give $10, and you might, if you got $600 to your name, you're probably not going to want to give $10.
That's right.
That's okay, and
10.
and you'll feel good. And the key is, it's going to come back anyway. It just does. So, Chris, I tell him what I'm going to do with the 10,000. It's not that
I
big,
think
but
you should. Let's
I
do
think
it.
it's
I'm
cool.
trying to get
So,
Kevin to film it. I'm trying to tell him, look, it's not conceited to film it because it'll change
well,
people's
I'll film it, like me, the process, but if I'm rolling up on somebody at McDonald's and she's doing a good job, I don't think I'm gonna have the camera sticking out of the car in her face. Because I don't know, that is always weird. But I do. Somebody could say, "Well, that inspires other people to do it." It does, because I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
But let's just say I want to take a $10,000 out, have $10,000 in cash. Uh, I never carry cash. I never have more than like $80, but I'll be walking around with the wads, and I'm just going to give people 100. But if they're great, I might give them 300.
Yeah.
And I did $300. We go to this Brewster's ice cream place. Chris, when you're around me, I like ice cream. We go to ice cream place a lot, and there's the tip jar, college jar in there last summer, 2 summers ago, and there was 3 kids in there, and I gave them all $100, and they were like, "What the hell?" They weren't expecting that. And to this day, my brother goes in there. He looks like me. They give him like 8 scoops of ice cream when he asks for a small, because they just want to hook up our whole family. We go there so much that we're there, and I always give them a good tip. But I'm going to do that to essentially 100 people, $100 bills.
I think that'll be amazing. Hopefully, you'll film it because if y'all aren't, and also before we end this podcast, y'all check out Charlie Rocket. He's got the Dream Machine. This is the guy that we gave the charity to, the one that's trying to make dreams. He's got a cool backstory where he had some very successful businesses in the music industry. Ended up getting a brain tumor and changed his complete lifestyle, documented that change, got a Nike commercial with it, and he made a commitment with the Lord. He was like, if you allow me to make my dream of being an athlete, then I will make sure that I commit to making other people's dreams come true. And if I'm not mistaken, he said he doesn't even take a dollar from the foundation. Every bit
No.
of it is all about making dreams. He has a few people that's
He
helping him, make that happen as far as on his team. But uh, check him out on Instagram, Facebook, Charlie Rocket,
got a
and
million followers. He's
and
doing
follow him. He's
incredible things.
changing lives. It'll inspire you.
Yeah, it'll make you feel great. Just watching his videos will make you feel great. And then why not be a part of that?
So that's your takeaway. The takeaway is go give something. The takeaway on this podcast is it maybe you sit there and buy somebody's meal, maybe you hand them a 10, a 20, 100 or more, whatever's relative to you. But let it be a little painful. Let it be a little scary to you to give it away. And just start and then make this a routine, something that you do once a week, once a month. Let it be smaller increments. Do it once a week. Start flexing this given muscle, and you'll see the law of reciprocity bring it back into your life. And more importantly, the joy you'll have when you see some of the expressions that
Oh
you
yeah.
get when you hand it away, because you'll realize how big of an impact it was.
That was the shocking thing was Charlie and his team, their reaction when they came to talk to me and, my wife at the end of it, like, they were so emotional about it. It
It's
just
awesome,
felt
man.
great. But even another thing is the people behind it. So when I auctioned off, I got a trip to Greece. It's kind of an insane trip. But the guy who the guy who runs
One
those
that donated it?
vacations is donating that trip.
Yep.
So there's so many people behind it. So it makes you want to. He's doing that. Well, let me pay for it. And let me. It's incredible.
It's awesome.
All
All
right.
right, guys, y'all tune in to the next podcast, dropping them every week. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe. Check us out on Facebook, and we've got new school community. If you've not checked out this platform, SKOOL. Go to school. We've got something for everyone. If you want to get in just entry level and start to experience a little bit of a paid for community, you can log in right now. Currently, it's $8 per month. We're interviewing Deca millionaires. You're hearing their
Yeah.
story. We're dropping content about how to get your marketing and leads going. If you're ready for a little bit higher level, then we've got our accelerator school group. And then if you want a ton of access to me and Kevin, and you're just ready to put your business on steroids, check out our school group called Boardroom Elite. And that's where we just get down into the weeds of your business to help accelerate it so that you can truly be a blue collar millionaire.
$8 a month is insane.